Welcome on in to the Sports Forum Radio Show here on 98.1 Mile High Sports Radio. We are jumping straight into the action today. We got a guest right out the gate, Mr. Chris Camozzi, bare knuckle fighter, man. Thanks for some of your time. How you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Counting down the days. We're almost to fight night, which is great. So I'm ready to go.
Yes, sir. You are 72 hours out, pretty much, maybe, give or take a couple hours, but you're 72 hours out from the big event this weekend in Denver, Colorado, there at First Bank Center. How you feeling? How's the weight cut? I know you're fighting at 205 cruiserweight. So do you have to do much cutting there, or do you kind of walk around close to that?
Yeah, I walk around pretty close. That cut to 205 is easy for me. I don't even consider it a cut. In the UFC and my previous MMA career, I was fighting middleweight, so 185, and that was always a big cut. This one I can diet down to most of the way. I think I'm about 10 pounds over, but I probably won't even have to step foot in the sauna. I just cut down on some of the carbs I eat, and I'll wake up on weight.
Out of curiosity, you just said, you kind of used to cut down to 185. Now you're at 205. What's the reason behind that? Is that so you got a little more beef on you, don't get knocked out as easily? You got more power in your punches? Is it just, as you're not 20 years old anymore, you're like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. What's the 205 for?
Yeah, the cuts just got to be too hard. So I'm 6'3". I walk around like 220, 225. Gotcha. And I was always around there, but cutting to 185. So that made it real miserable. And once I made that jump, it was like right before that, I was coming real close to missing weight. My body just wasn't cutting it anymore. And I think, you get older, you get a little bigger, and it just got to the point where my body was like, no more. So 205 is a lot more natural weight for me and a lot more comfortable. I actually enjoy life at 205 and enjoy training.
Yeah, you can have a few meals, not be struggling there 24 hours out from fight day. You got to be nice, not hanging out in the sauna for hours at a time. But I do want to ask you about the rounds of this fight. So obviously when you fight UFC, I know not everybody knows all the rules about BKFC. So when you fight in the UFC, you usually fight 3 rounds, 5 minutes a round. You're going to be fighting 5 rounds, 2-minute rounds, correct?
Yeah, they go quick.
What's your take on that? Do you like it better being 2 minutes? Is it more kind of like you can go out there, fire right away, and you get a quick break and you go out and do it again? Or do you think it's a lot more hectic because you only got 2 minutes and they're swinging for your head?
I think it's a little bit of both depending on how you play it. But I think as far as fan friendly goes, the 2-minute rounds are great because that ensures action. If you're focusing on winning rounds, you got to go. And there's not a lot of time to do work. 2-minute rounds wouldn't work for something like MMA because it could take, a minute just to get a takedown. But this is just bare knuckle boxing. So we all know what that's like. You're just trading punches. And I think the 2-minute rounds are actually perfect. It keeps people intrigued, interested, fast finishes. And, I would attribute some of that to what's made bare knuckle so successful is the fact that they're just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. I recommend anyone that has not seen bare knuckle fighting, you guys need to watch it this weekend or head out to the event. It is as exciting as it comes. You guys are drawing some huge stars out there and stuff like that. People are really starting to get a hold of how fun it is watching this fighting. I'm a huge fan, but you are from Denver. You train in Denver, over there in Genesis. Your opponent is from Florida. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you think this altitude is going to affect him? Do you think with it being the 2-minute rounds and you get 5 of them, are you going to kind of go straight at him? I mean, I don't want your whole game plan, but are you going to go straight at him? Or is it kind of like hey, I'm going to drag this guy into deep water, and as the rounds go on, he's going to be tiring?
I'm ready for both. I think the longer it goes, obviously that will benefit me, but I'm not looking to be in there the full amount of time. I get paid the same whether I'm in there for 1 round or 5. Risk to injury, all of that. I would like to say I think I could speak for most guys when I say that we're always looking for the finish as fast as possible. Now, if it happens to go longer, then that's fine. I've always had great conditioning, and it's just going to be miserable for him the longer it goes.
And I know your last 2 fights have been in Denver, right? So you're feeling pretty good about being in Denver. You're not nervous about it. You're definitely going to have the home crowd out there on your side. So hopefully, all that gives you that a little extra boost there when you get out there. You don't be tiring out. But I got to ask you, what do you think is his strongest thing of his game? Obviously, this guy walks around. Everybody knows he's a big dude. He's a strong dude. I saw this great interview of you saying, hey, everybody's this guy walks around wearing his belt everywhere he goes. He wants everybody to know he's the champion. So what do you kind of do for a guy like this?
Break him. I would say his strengths are he's obviously got a lot of power. He's been knocking everybody out.
Yep.
I've said it before though, like anybody out there can swing hard. It's all about precision, setting up your shots. He doesn't do a bad job of that, but I see him put his head down and swing as hard as he can, more so than having an exact plan. So I would say his mindset, his confidence, and his power are like his attributes. Mm-hmm. And to handle somebody like that, I just need to break him. Once he starts feeling that I'm not going away, maybe he lands a punch, maybe he doesn't, and he realizes I walk through it, that mentally breaks people like him that have such an ego.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, you seem like a pretty confident guy yourself, man. Obviously, I watched your last fight. It was an absolute banger. These announcers, they're saying about you, hey, for this guy only having 2 fights in bare knuckle, he looks like a complete veteran out there. Do you think that's because of what you had in your UFC career? What is it about bare knuckle that you think just meshes so well with you in your game?
I've always been drawn to striking. I competed with Glory Kickboxing. I was ranked in the world with them. I fought in the UFC forever. I've been doing MMA. I've done, I just like fighting. So to me, it's all somewhat the same. You go in there and people are like, oh, you haven't done bare knuckle that much. I've had 2. But I never went into any MMA fight and was like, oh, I'm so glad he's got that 4-ounce glove on. I'm trying to not get hit by any of them, even a boxing glove. The end of the day, the goal is to not get hit. So it's not like I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, he's got an MMA glove on, I'll be fine. Those break faces too. Is
there anything else in your fight camp that you've been changing for this one? Obviously, you said he's a big, powerful guy. You want to break him. But is there anything you've had to change? Or you kind of just going in there saying, hey, this has been successful for me. I'm just going to go in there and fight my fight?
No, I'm always changing things. I think that you get stale if you don't change anything. Training day in and day out. If I wanted to go there and just be the same fighter every time, it wouldn't do very well for me. People catch on. I'm always working on improving. Even when I didn't have an opponent, or a date or anything, I go to the gym and I train to just get better all around. So, yeah, I think this fight, it's cliche. Everybody says it, but I think that you'll see a completely different fighter again. The last 2 fights, yep. my first BKFC fight, I got a quick knockout. The second fight, I wanted to work the clinch a bit, and that wasn't due to my opponent. That was just working different aspects of the game. So I did really well there. And, there's some more aspects I could work that maybe we'll see at this fight that I decide to use this one as a learning moment too.
Yeah. And you said in one of your Instagram videos, I'm fighting for legacy. And that's something that I don't think he's counting on. What do you mean by that?
Well, I was saying, I don't think he understands how much this belt means to me. I've had 3 times, 4 times as many fights as he has. I've put my entire life into this sport, or combat sports. So at the end of the day, to have a world title before I'm done means everything to me. We're talking 17, 18 years of build up to this. Yeah. So that's one thing, his ego and all this stuff. I don't know if on the other side, he accounts for how bad I want this, because at the end of the day, it's who's willing to go further.
It's always who's willing to go further, who's willing to sacrifice it all, man. You seem good. You seem confident. You seem happy on fight week here. Just out of curiosity, are you looking to fight again at the end of this one? Do you have anybody you're ready to call out? Or are you kind of like, hey, all eyes on this one. We'll worry about it when it's over?
My whole focus is on this one, because if I win the belt, I got to say that.
Yes, sir.
When I win the belt, and you're the champion, it's not my job to call out anybody anymore. It's their job to work their way up to me, call me out. So that's what I've had in my mind, right? Once you're on top of the hill, people need to come to you. So I haven't thought about who I want to fight next, any of that, because that's everybody else's job below to figure out. I'll be waiting at the top.
Yep. Absolutely. Love it. Love the confidence. I do want to ask you really quick, just a small side note here. I saw that you have an app called Jiu-Jitsu on the Go. Can you kind of explain what that is and for people to go download it?
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu on the Go is a training app. So it started out with just Jiu-Jitsu. and now we've adapted it to, kickboxing, wrestling, MMA. Now there's, still jiu-jitsu on there, but it's like a learn on the go. So whether you have ever trained before or you're a professional, there's stuff on there for you. It's not just me teaching on there. I've got some of the best instructors in the world. We've got Fabio Santos, who's a red belt. There's only a few of them in the world. He's teaching on there. There's so many instructors on there, and you can pick, choose, download videos. So if you want to watch them on a plane, any of that, there's a forum where you can interact with people. You can make video requests from coaches. It's a really cool tool that everybody could benefit from if you train. And that's jjotg.com. And we do a free week trial, so you can check out everything we have on there.
There you go, guys. Go check it out. Head over to your app store, download now. I do want to ask you, though, do you have a prediction for me in this fight? When is this one going to end, and how is it going to end?
I keep feeling like it's going to be no later than round 2. That's what keeps coming out of my mouth, because that's just what I feel. And I'm going to break him. I'm going to show him who the champ is. I'm going to show him whose city it is. And he can stick down at the lower weights and run those ones.
There you go, guys. And I do want to ask you, any other sponsors, any other shout outs you want to throw out there before your big fight here Friday, September 22nd at First Bank Center?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I have some great sponsors for this one. So I got Gallo Technologies right here. They make the world's best, gun walls, cabinets, safes, stuff like that. I've got OnlyFans, I've got Mitt 45 and Bucked Up Energy, and then Half Face Blades, who's been a long time sponsor of mine as well. So check those out.
Go follow Chris on socials, Instagram at Chris Camozzi, Camozzi on Instagram, and on Twitter at Chris Camozzi. And also give Bare Knuckle FC a follow so you guys don't miss any of the action, any of the promo for what's going down this weekend, man. Best of luck to you this weekend. We're going to be watching, excited for it.